My name is Naeem Khan. When I was a small child, my mother used to tell me, if you do not finish every grain of rice in your plate, that last grain of rice is going to travel to the end of the earth, climb the wall up to the heavens, and complain to God that you wasted it. In all our innocence, my sister and I believed her and would finish up our food. But as we grew older, we realized the profound lesson that it taught us. Food wastage was not just about what's left on the plate. It's about the disrespect to the resources that have gone into preparing it, and also disrespect to the blessings that we have been bestowed with. I'd like to share with you a verse from the Holy Quran, Surah chapter 7. It says, "Wakulu washrabu wala tusrifu innahu la yuhibbul musrifin." It means, eat, drink, but do not waste, for God loves not the wasters. So, it is about a balance. It's about eating and drinking, but not wasting. It's about enjoying the blessings, but in moderation, so that we do not end up wasting the resources that we have, the blessings that we have. As an IT corporate slave for 20 years, I have traveled throughout the world, and have seen many places where I have gained a lot of experience in terms of looking at innovations and what we can gather from it. One thing that I have realized is, after COVID struck, it gave me the opportunity to start my own restaurant, Biryani Palayam. And after having run the restaurant for 4 years, I realized the number one pain point of any restaurant owner, which is food wastage. Now, why does food wastage occur? Food wastage basically occurs due to a vicious cycle where restaurants want to prepare more in anticipation of more sales. On good days, they sell out, prompting them to prepare more the next day. But when demand fluctuates, the excess food becomes waste. This cycle results in financial losses, and not to mention the resources that have gone into preparing the food. This happens because today there is no scientific way to predict the demand for tomorrow. There is no methodology to align possible demand with what should be produced. So the over preparation causes the unnecessary waste. So what is the solution to this over preparation and ultimately resulting in food wastage? The solution is moderation in preparation. That is, restaurants should be content with preparing just enough, though they run the risk of selling out early and missing out on last few hours of the day where you're out of food. So how do we make up for it? How do we convince restaurants to prepare in moderation and give up on possible potential sales? The answer to this lies in one portion of the food preparation or food demand that comes with pre-booking of food. The niche exists. Think about it. Any given day, in any given city, there are thousands of people whose birthday it is, whose anniversaries it is. There are several companies with team meetings, staff meetings, banks having their staff meetings. There are guests coming over. There are always occasions where there is a group of people who need food and you already know about it. So all we have to do is entice the customers to pre-book from restaurants so that the restaurants have a confirmed, guaranteed volume of sales, which will allow them to be content with preparing less for the unpredictable portion of their business. I was inspired by a few innovative companies like Groupon and Priceline. Groupon demonstrated the power of guaranteed volume. Basically, they have, say, 1,000 coupons for a discounted price, but the deal kicks in only if all 1,000 coupons are purchased. This tells the company that this amount of volume is definitely going to be coming in. That allows them to give customers a discount. Priceline was another innovative company that I have looked up to. As far as Priceline goes, they demonstrated the power of flexible pricing. During my life in the US, we used to use Priceline a lot, which allowed us to actually name the price for the trip or the hotel booking or the rental cars that we would book. So the solution here was, when we entice the customers with these two options. Number one, for the restaurant it would be the guaranteed volume, but for the customer it would be the flexible pricing that may allow them or entice them to pre-book. So we have two different pricing models that we are coming up with. One is a fixed discounted price and one is a dynamic pricing model. Fixed discounted price, as the name suggests, if there's an item, let's say 1,000 rupees, and if the production cost of it is only 500, which is the raw material cost only, then whatever price point the restaurant prices it at above the raw material cost of, say, 500 is going to be profitable, because as long as the food is pre-booked. Let's say the restaurant usually prepares 25 kgs of biryani in the morning, expecting good sales. Along with that, if there is a 10 kg biryani additional preparation, the restaurant is not going to prepare 25 separately and the other pre-booked 10 separately. They are going to bulk it together and prepare it as one full batch of 35 kgs. The entire 35 kg biryani is going to have the same taste, the same quality, and the name of the restaurant behind it. But the 10 portion within the 35 did not cost the restaurant anything extra in terms of labor cost, rent, electricity, maintenance, or even fuel. So essentially, when you include pre-booked orders along with regular preparation, the only additional cost, out of pocket expense that the restaurant incurs is the raw material cost. So any price point above the raw material cost that the restaurant prices it at is going to be profitable. Less profit than what they would have got in the unpredictable sale category, but still not a loss. But this can increase their volume of sales and maybe compensate for the lost sales from being from preparing it in a moderate amount. The other pricing model that we have envisioned is the dynamic pricing model. Here, going deep into the concept of the restaurant not having incurred anything more than the raw material cost, we start a bidding platform above the raw material cost and we let the customers bid on top of it, compete with each other, and for the X amount of time that the bidding goes on, let's say the price reaches 800 rupees. We are not auctioning a rare painting or some limited stock antique items. We are only auctioning or bidding something that is going to be prepared tomorrow. So we are not restricted to selecting one winner in this auction. We can choose 5 top bidders, which further increases the volume of sales at price points above the raw material cost. So the restaurant has just got 5 new orders for an item, all profitable, again less profit, not a loss. This concept, even though it can be commercialized, can be offered free of cost to educational institutions, schools, colleges and hospitals, because these are usually run for a not expecting a huge profit, but from a service motive. So as long as students and doctors and patients can utilize this mechanism to pre-order to their cafeterias, it creates a pipeline of future customers for such a business to thrive. We have not invented pre-booking. We have not invented dynamic pricing. We have not invented discounts. We have just stood on the shoulders of giants, as Isaac Newton had put it. If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. If I have to leave you with something today, it is that innovation does not require invention. It is about keeping our eyes open and looking for dots that we can connect, things that we can fix. Look for small inefficiencies that you can fix. Look for unaddressed problems that we can solve. And go with things that already exist, already have been invented, already have been discovered, but the connections have not been made yet. Those options are all open to us to stand on and solve major issues. This is what I want to leave you with today, and always listen to your mother. Thank you.